Poland is an amazing country to move to. There are a lot of things that I wish I knew before moving to Poland. Starting with number 10, regional and cultural nuance. Poland, just like many countries around the world, is very diverse. In the US, we have Republicans versus Democrats, and they're about a 50-50 split. Here in Poland, they have a similar thing where they call it Polskie A and Polskie B. People on the west side that are closer to Germany and a lot of the bigger major cities are a lot more liberal. Eastern side, a little bit closer to Ukraine, they are smaller cities and they're a lot more conservative and traditional. Cultural background, expectations on life, dating expectations, what kind of music they listen to. All of these things changed based on which region they came from. Number 9, dating culture. A lot of people talk about how beautiful the women are here in Poland, and I do think that's true, but it's not a passport bro-friendly destination. The weather doesn't really allow for it. It's not cheap, really, to live here anymore. It filters out a lot of the riffraff. But I think there's this myth in the West that Polish women or Slavic women are traditional and submissive, which is total BS. Polish women are not traditional in that sense at all. Polish women are very ambitious. They're very strong and independent, but to a certain extent where they still want a man, where it doesn't always feel like they're competing with men, even though that is definitely coming now because women are dominating universities and they're dominating a lot of managerial positions here. I wouldn't say it's necessarily 50-50, but they look more for a partnership. Also changes based on which city they're from. Very important to distinguish between the Polish and the Ukrainians and the Belarusians because they're all Slavic, but they all have different backgrounds. The Ukrainians and the Belarusians are a little bit more traditional. They have a bunch of different politics that have influenced their dating culture. So for example, Ukraine is a country with high income inequality. A lot of the women coming from that country are escaping war, which means that they're going to be looking for much different criteria than the women who are born in Poland with stability and both parents in the household and not facing war. In general, I would say Polish women don't care that much about your money. They want you to be ambitious. How you treat them, your personality, emotional intelligence, how you treat kids. A lot of these things are more valuable than just superficial stuff, such as how much money you make or height. There are Ukrainians that have been here since the war first broke out in 2014, and they are essentially like locals now because a lot of them have been working here for 8 to 10 years, speak Polish. But then there's like a new wave of Ukrainians that came since 2022 who are completely different. If you want to go more into the dating stuff, I don't have videos about it, but we can set up a private call where we can talk a lot more in depth about this and you can schedule the call right here. Number 8, the winters are brutal. Now this is a little bit nuanced because now I'm on my 3rd Polish winter and it's definitely not as bad as the first one. I think the problem is not necessarily the winter. The problem is not preparing correctly for the winter. The sun goes down really early. I think at the peak, the sun is down by like 3:30 p.m. Around the end of October, it gets really cold very quickly. So you have to start preparing by taking vitamin D, make sure you have proper winter clothes. You also have to plan winter activities such as going to the mountains, going to sauna, doing winter sports. You have 6 months of cold weather and you have 6 months of warm weather. You just have to know how to live in both. Number 7, language changes everything. And I actually think this is super obvious. Most of the foreigners that move here to Poland don't end up speaking Polish. And I understand why. It's a very difficult language. It's not very useful as opposed to Russian, where a lot more countries around the world speak that language. I know a lot of Poles don't like me saying that, but it's true. And you don't even have to learn it to a pro level because Polish is so difficult. I think Polish people just want to see that you're making an effort. The problem for me and a lot of Poles, when you see somebody who's lived here for 7 years and they don't speak even a word of Polish, 95% of foreigners just don't even try. If you can get to like a low A2 level where you can carry a basic conversation or order something at the store, your experience here is going to drastically change because all of a sudden you experience the warmth of the Polish people. And a lot of the things that maybe sounded rude to you before, once you understand what they're saying, you realize, oh, they're just direct and that's how they are. If you guys are looking for private lessons, I have a friend named Martha who's excellent. She's very young, so her lessons are a lot more interactive and not traditional, and she makes the classes a lot of fun. Number 6, friendships here take time. If you're a digital nomad or you're traveling to a bunch of countries, in my opinion, it gets boring after a few months because it's hard to establish any form of community or friends when you're bouncing from place to place. Here in Poland, people are not very open. They're quite closed off. They are friends with people that they've known since like childhood. So as a foreigner, it's very difficult to break into that. On the bright side though, once you make a friend here, the friendships are a lot deeper than maybe a place like Latin America or just America in general, where you can meet a lot of people, everybody's friendly, but when it really matters, they won't be there for you. So if you come here as an expat, I highly recommend going to as many social gatherings as possible. Don't just make expat friends, make local friends as well, so you get the best of both worlds. And that leads to number 5, where you're going to feel lonely sometimes, especially during the winters. A lot of these things can be avoided with proper preparation and understanding of what to expect. But I think a lot of people, especially Americans or maybe some Brits, think that Poland is a lesser country to an extent. So they come to this country waving around their passport thinking that's going to impress people. People here don't really care about your citizenship or anything. The Polish passport is actually stronger than the American passport, funny enough. This is one of the downsides of living in Warsaw. Just any big city in general. I feel like it's a lot harder to make friends because everybody's trying to improve and advance. But in Krakow, which is a lot slower paced of a city, and I would argue maybe like Wrocław or Łódź or all these smaller cities, people are a lot more real, and I think people are open to having deeper friendships and relationships as opposed to people you meet in the big cities. But if you're planning on staying here for a long time, it's gonna take a lot of investment and time from your part to make long-term friends here. But once you do that, the loneliness goes away and your experience becomes a lot better. Number 4, the bureaucracy here can be a real pain in the butt. Doing everything the legal route and the right way takes a lot of time, effort, and I wouldn't say it's extremely expensive, but you have to know what you're doing. That's why I highly recommend working with a professional. There's a couple companies that I work with that have helped me with my process. You have to keep in mind that most of the things that you need to do here as far as documents or legalization, getting your PESEL bank account, is going to be only in Polish. So if you don't have somebody there to help you translate or to communicate with the other person, it's going to be really hard. This is one of the things that I help with in my consulting service. I offer different consulting packages to take you from 0 all the way to finally moving here and being established. Number 3, understanding Polish culture. They are reserved. Sometimes they come off as rude, but really they're just direct. This is how Slavic people are. This is how Asian people are. I personally find it very refreshing because I hate all of the small talk BS. America specifically, like that PC culture, to me bugs the heck out of me. Don't BS me. Tell me what you need. Tell me what you want. This also carries over to relationships, funny enough. I personally like it because a lot of Polish girls are very honest. They're very direct about what they want. There's this common myth. People don't really smile at you on the street and they have the Polish smile where people are just like, right? I actually find that people smile at me a lot, especially when I'm on the public transport. A lot of the older Polish people are surprisingly very friendly. When they say something to me in Polish and I respond back to them, they're like, whoa, this guy can speak Polish? And then all of a sudden they're all happy and smiley and everybody treats me well. One of the things I like as an Asian person is that when you go into a Polish home, make sure to take off your shoes. Before entering, they have house slippers just like we do. Americans wear their shoes indoors, sometimes even on their beds, and to me it's absolutely disgusting. Polish people are very clean, they're very organized to a certain extent. Polish people also really love to complain. It's funny because in my videos, once I started complaining about Poland, a lot of Polish people find it very endearing because they're like, oh, now he's finally one of us. But I can understand how it can be annoying sometimes. They may come off as negative as opposed to an American who is a lot more optimistic about life. It's really a country of mutual respect. Respect others, respect your neighbor, respect their space, and in turn you'll get that same respect back. And I think this is the proper way to make sure a society is high functioning because you have to have like this base level of order and stability in order to really build on top of it. Number 2 is preparation is everything. A lot of expats fail in Poland, not because of lack of will, but more of lack of preparation. They didn't understand how difficult it will be to find an apartment. Which neighborhood you want to live in also will directly affect your social experience. The people who give the country its proper respect, know what they're getting into, and plan accordingly will have an amazing time living here in Poland. Number 1, Poland is a long-term country. The experience that you have here in Poland will improve the more time and effort that you invest into it. Poland is a place for raising a family. If you want to look for a long-term partner, because the culture really promotes that. If you're looking for long-term stability, Poland is on the rise right now. The zloty is gaining a lot of strength. Incomes here are also on the rise. Just the country in general is improving a lot. Poland is the best for people who are looking to settle down, raise a family in a safe, stable environment. If your family is Polish, but you're living in America, Canada, or Western Europe, coming back to Poland is going to be one of the best moves for you because you already know the language. You're gonna feel at home here